want to ask with something that you said last night, that your deportation operation starts today. Did it?
Yeah, ISIS, they're out there enforcing law out today. And of course, as I've said numerous times, they're concentrating on public safety threats. That'll be our priority right out of the gate. So ICE officers are back to doing their job.
Where are these, are they actual raids? And how is it different from what we saw yesterday or the day before?
I wouldn't call them raids. They're target enforcement operations. They know exactly who they're looking for. They know pretty much where they'll find them. So again, these are well-planned operations. They're well investigated, so they have a lot of backup information when they go out there. A whole team goes out for officer safety concerns. So this happens throughout the nation. I mean, I'm not going to tell you specific locations out of officer safety concerns, but ICE is back doing their job effective today. They haven't been able to do it for years.
How are you finding them?
Again, these ICE officers across the country have a non-detained docket. They know who these people are. When they don't show up in court, they fail to leave as ordered by an immigration judge, or they have, NCIC information on someone who was arrested for a violent crime here that's in the country illegally. They take those leads, they do investigative work, and through that work, try to find out where these people may be located, and that's the whole investigative piece they do before they go out and actually make an arrest.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together we will make America great again.
No, I just don't understand why we keep going on CNN, but they say we have to. But CNN just can't handle the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. People, hosts are confused, shocked, stunned. But props to Trump's borders are Tom Homan, who again keeps coming on and setting the record straight. Even when CNN and others, MSNBC, tons of other mainstream media, legacy media, they trash this man's existence. They trash this man's character, and he still comes on and humiliates them and sets the record straight and explains it how it is. Just can't make this up, man. Well, let's go and jump into this. And big things are already taking place. Man, day two, they've already been, many of arrests have taken place. I mean, they are cracking down right now, you guys. They are cracking down right now. And I can't wait for one of these them to step in the way and cross the line, so we can make an example out of somebody. Enough of me talking. Let's jump in. Dana Bash is up next. We just got done handling that smug Caitlin Collins. We just got done handling her. So let's go and handle Dana Bash.
Tom Homan, thank you so much for joining me. I want to ask with something that you said last night, that your deportation operation starts today. Did it?
Yeah, ISIS, they're out there enforcing law out today. And of course, as I've said numerous times, they're concentrating on public safety threats. That'll be our priority right out of the gate. So ICE officers are back to doing their job.
Where are these, are they actual raids? And how is it different from what we saw yesterday or the day before?
Well, look, I wouldn't call them raids. They're target enforcement operations. They know exactly who they're looking for. They know pretty much where they'll find them. So again, these are well-planned operations. They're well investigated, so they have a lot of backup information when they go out there. A whole team goes out for officer safety concerns. So this happens throughout the nation. I mean, I'm not going to tell you specific locations out of officer safety concerns, but ICE is back doing their job effective today. They haven't been able to do it for years.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that in 1 second, but who is ICE going after right now? I know that you and others said several times
who is ICE going after right now? Y'all, this is what kills me. With CNN, and this And this host Dana back. This is what kills me, man.
People who pose the biggest public safety threat to Americans who would be approached and deported first. Is that still the case?
Yes, people in the country illegally that have a criminal conviction that makes them a public safety threat. That's our priority.
How many times do we have to keep? How many times do we have to keep going over this, y'all? How many times?
How are you finding them?
Again, these ICE officers across the country have a non-detained docket. They know who these people are. When they don't show up in court, they fail to leave as ordered by an immigration judge, or they have, NCIC information on someone who was arrested for a violent crime here that's in the country illegally. They take those leads, they do investigative work, and through that work, try to find out where these people may be located. And that's the whole investigative piece they do before they go out and actually make an arrest.
And so what is happening as we speak is limited to those with criminal records?
That's the target of this operation, but like I said many times, in places like sanctuary cities where we can't arrest a bad person in the jail, we would like to have access to the jail to arrest a criminal alien in the safety and security of a county jail, which is safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien. But when you release a public safety threat out of a sanctuary jail and won't give us access to him, that means we got to go to the neighborhood and find him. And we will find him. But when we find him, he may be with others. Others that don't have a criminal conviction but are in the country illegally, they will be arrested too. Because we're not going to strike, and this is the difference between the last administration and this administration. ICE is going to enforce the immigration law. There's nothing in the INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, says you got to be convicted of a serious crime in order to be removed from this country. So there's going to be more collateral arrests in sanctuary cities because they forced us to go in the community and find the guy we're looking for.
Let me just make sure that I understand what you're saying, because at first you said that the first targets are those with criminal records.
I mean, you just can't make this up.
You are also saying that those who are undocumented in the U.S., also who don't have criminal records, people who are working in their communities, maybe even have spouses who are American citizens, they could be swept up with ICE today as well?
What I'm telling you is when we go find our priority target, which is a criminal alien, if he's with others in the United States illegally, we're going to take enforcement action against him. We're going to enforce the immigration law.
Law.
What happens then? So the ICE officers gets an individual or a set of individuals and apprehends them. What next? What do these ICE officers do with them? Because in some cases, and you know this far better than I, they haven't been deported in the past because their country of origin won't take them.
Well, what happens after arrest, they're taken to an ICE office and they're processed and put in detention. While they're in detention, ICE officers work on travel documents. The host country sends travel documents saying, yeah, this is our citizen, this is our national. Then we make flight arrangements. So they could be in detention from a few days for a few weeks until that removal is made happen.
What if the host country doesn't want them, as has happened in the recent past?
We have various plans. We have various plans. Other countries are willing to take them. We have third safe country removals. So that's something we're working through. But I think you're going to see less of the recalcitrant countries. Countries won't take their citizens back under this president, because this president has vowed that these countries will take them back. So I'll leave that up to the White House. But there will be negotiations with those countries who are pushing back on recalcitrancy, and they will be removed.
You know, I think that there is some kind of image that people might have, given how much we heard President Trump and you in the months during the campaign, and certainly during the transition, talking about what's going to happen of people being rounded up, loaded on buses, and dropping them off on the border. Is that how you see this happening?
Well, I don't like the analogy of rounding up. Look, again, this is a targeted enforcement operation.
Man.
The president's been clear on this. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats. But in sanctuary cities, where they don't let us take that public safety threat into custody in the safety and security of a jail, we have to go find him. If he's with others in the country illegally, ICE will not turn the blind eye to that. ICE is going to uphold the oath they took. They're going to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and signed by a president. And they're going to do that without apology. I mean, if sanctuary cities force us in this position, that's exactly what's going to happen.
How many deportations do you think that you can carry out this year? Last year, for example, the Biden administration did deport about 270,000 people, which is the most since 2014. I know you said ICE has not been doing its job, but there have been a lot of deportations. What's going to happen coming up?
That is not accurate. The Biden administration.
That can't be accurate. She on here lying. That's what she on here, just a blatant lie.
If you look at those removal numbers, over 80% were Border Patrol apprehensions on the border that were immediately removed. They weren't ICE removals. So if you look at what ICE has done in the interior of the United States,
Look at her face.
They have the lowest numbers of removals in the history of the agency.
You are a disgrace, CNN.
Historic illegal crisis on the southern border. So they can claim 270, 240,000, whatever removals. That's simply not the fact. And under the Trump administration, were there fewer removals? Yes. And why was that? Because we secured the border. We weren't releasing millions of people in the United States to have to go find and remove. So it doesn't
let it make sense.
It's how many people were released in this country, and millions were released into this country by the Biden administration that were not released by the Trump administration.
I just want to be clear. I'm not obviously getting these numbers out of thin air. They are coming from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency. You're saying that they're giving us false information?
The numbers are accurate. I'm talking where do those removals come from? And they're not interior ICE removals. 80% of those removals were arrested by Border Patrol. So ICE didn't make the arrest, Border Patrol did, and they were removed by ICE on the southern border.
Understood. You told my colleague Caitlin Collins in December that you didn't know how many people you're going to deport because you didn't know the resources that you would have. How much money do you, and I understand that you've been in this job now for a matter of hours, but you've been working on it ahead of time for a long time. Do you know how much money you're going to need from Congress to carry this out?
Look, I've been working with members of Congress, and the whole team's been working on to come up with a number that makes sense. But like I've said many times, we're going to use whatever money we have and do the most efficient operation we can. The more money we have, the more we can do. And I think this election proves that the American people support the removals of criminal aliens in this country. So I'm looking for Congress to come through and give us the budget we need.
One of the president's executive orders suspends the U.S. refugee program, and that action could leave about 2,000 Afghans in limbo who were previously approved to resettle in the U.S., and that includes families of U.S. service members. Why shouldn't those people be allowed to come in the U.S. and stay as refugees?
Look, we need to secure the border. We need to stop the bleeding, right? We can keep bailing the water out of the boat, but we got to plug those holes. So right now, it's all about securing this nation, securing the border, and we'll address that in the coming days. But right now, we're going to shut that border down and get a hold of this problem. What's happening on our border is the biggest national security vulnerability I've seen in my career, and I've got over 35 years doing this. We need to take action to secure the border, and we'll discuss the other policies down the road. But right now, it's all about securing the border and saving lives.
So I just want to, again, make sure I understand this because this is all new and very, very important with regard to the Afghan refugees, that it was a blanket executive order, but perhaps it could be amended or specific groups of people could be addressed as you get your arms around this?
No, the order stands as is, but we know there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We know that a lot of these refugees weren't properly vetted. There are things we need to fix that the last administration broke before we allow the program to continue. So
what did he just say, ma'am?
Okay, so
what did he just say?
Refugees, children, in some cases of U.S. service members, they are no longer.
This is why CNN is. What did he just say, ma'am? This is why she always. Anytime they come on here, this is how they get destroyed and humiliated. And people got to come on here and repeat themselves. This is why, CNN. This is why the ratings are where they're at.
Safe in the United States.
I want to say they're safe in the United States. The president issued an executive order to give us time to get our arms around this massive problem of immigration in the United States, massive vetting problem that we got to get our hands around. So that's where we're at.
Okay, so they'll be deported or not let in if they're on their way.
If they're in the country illegally, they have a problem. It's not okay to enter this country illegally if that's what you're talking about.
But if
we're
they
going
were
to enforce
admitted
immigration
as
law.
refugees,
I mean, man.
and now
And
that law changed.
they'll be handled by case-by-case basis.